Time for today's Fashion Forward. Designers are taking a stance in Ukraine. Now, we're going to break this all down right now with stylist and author Heather Neuberger today. Hey, Heather.
Hey, how's it going, Natalie?
It's going well considering the state of the world right now. We're going to start with this statement from Balenciaga and their solidarity with Ukraine. First of all, what did they say? And they also did this on a pretty big global stage, right?
Absolutely. And I think one of the really interesting things we're seeing is a lot of fashion brands, specifically European brands, are really taking a stance on what's going on in Ukraine. So Balenciaga was the first brand to come out, and it was during Paris Fashion Week, actually. And they said, they stand in solidarity with Ukraine. And they actually also made a gigantic donation to the World Food Program just to show how much, they're really committed to making sure that they're taking a stance on the situation abroad.
And sticking with Fashion Week, because like I said, a very large platform, people come from all over the world. And when the world is in such a chaotic state as it is right now, Armani, they made a decision and they decided to step in and do things a little different. What did they do?
So what I think is interesting is that what we're talking about right now is so many fashion weeks that really go back to back. We're seeing New York Fashion Week, we do Paris, we do Milan. And so in Milan, we actually saw Giorgio Armani taking a huge stance with the show that he put on, which I'm really impressed by. And I think a lot in the fashion community should be. He came out, he made a statement that said that in solidarity with Ukraine, there will be no music at his show. And it's incredibly rare that there's no music at a fashion presentation, as so many of the looks are really connected to the sounds that we hear. So when Armani kind of came out and did that, he really said that, this is something that we need to take a moment of silence for. And whether it's going to impact my show or not, it doesn't matter. It's more about what's going on the global stage.
It's really nice to see that people aren't just going on with their daily lives and ignoring things because it is such a big issue. You're seeing brands right now, so many of them have halted their sales to Russia, and that is also happening in the fashion industry. What are the brands and what is the impact of a move like this?
So again, what I think is really interesting is that we're looking right now specifically at brands that are all in European countries. So we're looking at brands like Ganni, which is a brand that we've talked about before that I really love, who come out with a statement. We're talking about Nanushka, who has ceased deliveries to all customers in Russia. We're talking about ASOS, who have also decided that it's neither practical nor right to continue trade with Russia. Gucci came out and donated $50,000 to the UN refugees. We've got Burberry donating to the Red Cross to provide urgent aid. And actually just yesterday, H&M, which is also the parent store of COS and other stores, have also come out and said that they are halting all of their deliveries and will no longer be shipping to Russia.
One of the things that we talk about is just how big fashion is. It's a global industry. So when you're seeing brands like Balenciaga and Armani, H&M, these are big companies. Can you talk about how powerful that is as a show of unity across the industry?
It's incredibly powerful. And I think it means a lot to people all over just to know that fashion is really standing with Ukraine during all of this strife. And I think that whether, it's a US brand or a European brand, it really is coming together to show support. That being said, I think it's very interesting that we're not necessarily seeing heritage brands in the US, such as Coach or Ralph Lauren, really coming out to say anything, which kind of speaks to the way that the US is really responding, without getting too political, to the situation. I think that there is sort of that divide of saying, we're in America, Europe is a very different space. That being said, I'm very curious to see if fashion, regardless of, the U.S. stance on the situation, will also be making a stance.
Yeah, we'll see if these moves really do pay off for something that seems very unnecessary. In the meantime, you guys, make sure you're following Heather on Instagram at Heather Neuberger. You can also pick up her book. That's How to Date Your Wardrobe. Thanks again, Heather. We'll see you again next week.